Alrighty, hello everyone, and happy Thursday. Today we have a special guest with us, Kristine Schwartz, who's here to talk to us everything growth mindset, which is a big topic that's coming up as we're heading into fall and coming into the end of our year. So, Kristine, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and let everyone know a little bit about you and what you do.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Alicia. My name is Kristine Schwartz, and I am from Reinvent Your Hustle. So you can certainly find me at Reinvent Your Hustle in all the ways. But I appreciate being here. I'm really excited to chat. So a little bit about me. I live in the tundra of Duluth, Minnesota. So I'm way up there, almost near the Canadian border. I don't know if anyone knows where that is, but it is the peak of fall right now. So the colors outside are just gorgeous. And in T-minus, who knows how many days we'll get snow. But in the meantime, I'm enjoying the fall colors. So it is beautiful. And I've been up here. I'm originally from the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul area. And I am a business owner. So I typically work with female entrepreneurs, 1 to 3 years in business, that are looking for clarity and we do that through strategic planning and creating marketing plans for them. So that's a little bit about me.
That's awesome. I think what you're doing, especially working with women in those early stages of building their business, is so supportive. And I'm wondering what got you hooked on growth mindset. What's the story there?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna the long and short of it. So I've been up in Duluth now since 2004. So I went to school up here. I started my career up here, and there was this beautiful company that I wanted to work for. It was very prestigious. I had to work for them, right? And so I ended up getting a job after I was in sales and marketing. I was working as an assistant in this company for a bunch of VPs. Well, as most of us know in our career, in order to move forward, to move up, you have to have a growth mindset, right? You have to be in a space where you are willing to learn and you're willing to take constructive criticism. And that's not always easy. So for me, I had come out of college with a BA in communication, and I had some experience in marketing under my belt, but in my current position where I was, there was no room to grow. And so when there's no room to grow, I was persistent. I said, I have to figure out a way to grow myself then. If they're not going to promote me, then I have to figure out a way to get promoted. So I chose to go back to school. So I went back to school, which wasn't cheap, but it was my way of developing my personal development and really moving up in the career ladder. So I went back to school to get my MBA. And I focused in project management. And at the time, because they weren't promoting me in my position, I decided to take another position within the conglomerate. So it was this conglomerate that had a bunch of companies underneath it. So I started working for another company, still working with the same people, but just in a different position, doing project implementation, really trying to help save the company money through implementing these projects, aligning senior leaders, helping the company to save millions of dollars. So time goes on, and I graduate. And of course, when you graduate from college, that's money. You got to get a job and pay that off. Well, when you graduate from grad school, that's even more money, and you got to pay that off, right? So I'm looking for another raise. And at the time, there wasn't money to promote me. And so I said, here we go again. What am I going to do? And I had to figure out a way to get myself to that next level. So I again took another job. And at the time, I had this amazing mentor, and he said to me, and this is a good strategy too, I think everyone should really take this and think about this. If you stay stagnant in a position for more than 3 years, you're going to get stale. You're going to get old. Like, you have to promote yourself when no one else is willing to promote you, and figure out a way to move up in that corporate ladder or in your position wherever you are, right? And so I took that to heart, and I continued along my journey, and I said to myself, okay, it's been a couple of years. I graduated with a master's, actually a double master's, and they're not willing to promote me. What am I going to do? Okay, I have to take a different position. Now listen to my mentor.
Yes.
So I did. I took another position. I went back to the old company I was working for. I was a marketing manager there, and I loved my job. I loved it. Now, granted, I didn't know everything. I had to be willing to learn, to take feedback, but I felt pretty good. And I was coming off of this high, right, of all this learning and feeling really great. And then all heck broke loose, and I got laid off, and shit hit the fan. And let's just say I was completely devastated. I had no idea it was coming. And so a lot of you that are listening, you probably have been through an experience or two where things happen, right? And you feel completely rejected, or you got sideswiped. You had no idea that was going to happen. And you're left feeling, whether it's rejected, like a failure, you're feeling definitely in a space where you either need to make up for that feeling somehow, or you have to figure out a way to move forward and through it and really either feel the emotions or you have to block them out. So I chose, for me, as I usually do, okay, growth mindset, how am I going to move forward from this? And very quickly, I decided to start my business, Reinvent Your Hustle. And I just said to myself, I can choose to wallow. And I did. Don't get me wrong. I wallowed for a couple of days. Yeah. I cried about it. I had a pity party. It's okay to do that. And I just want everyone on the call to know that, like, it is okay to get your emotions out in the open, and don't feel bad about that, whether you're a man, woman, child, adult. Like, that is part of the grieving process. And when you put your heart and soul into something, it's okay to have those feelings. And it's actually healthy to put those feelings out there. So I decided to start my business, and really what I ended up doing was I said, I want to inspire people that have been in my space to start their own businesses. And I'm going to build a roadmap. I'm going to figure out how to do this. And I didn't have someone telling me how to build a business. And so I just started testing things and writing things down and documenting my journey and building authority in my space. So for me, it was all about, how do I create this roadmap for people that have been through what I've been through? And it continued to evolve and transition into different things to where I am now. I've really niched in to say, who do I want to work with? How do I want to work with them and help them grow in their businesses in a way that maybe I didn't have those resources or that help. And so really that's my story of growth mindset and how I've had to continue to apply it over and over and over. And I'm learning every day. So I definitely don't know anything. I'll be the first one to admit, but I'm always trying to be self-aware of when I'm closing myself off to feedback or when I'm closing myself off to learnings. And so that's a little bit about my story and where I've come from.
It sounds like for most people, they may not have been able to be so resilient. And I'm wondering, especially in the line of work you're in and with some of your past experiences, how do you manage some of the frustration and anger that might come up?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I think it's very important to feel those feelings, like I said before, but you have to be mindful. So anyone that has gone through rejection in this way, shape, or form, deal with it privately in a way that you're not publicly displaying that frustration, because that can have severe repercussions later. So be very mindful of where you're projecting that frustration. And instead of, you could look at it two ways, right? You can take your beliefs in that I was treated wrongly, or this was unfair, or, I really am in a space where I want to stick it to them. and a lot of us do, right? But there's multiple ways of looking at that. And so I always say it's all in your mindset. So you can rewrite those beliefs. You can look at, I am in a space where I can deal with it this way, or I can deal with it this way. And you can take the high road, or you can take the lower road. And so if you're in a place where, things happen, and how is it going to benefit me in the long run if I choose this road, if I choose the high road? Probably better in the long run. And so sit with it before you make any rash decisions. Take a day and think about it. I tell a lot of my clients, free write. Journaling is a great exercise to get all of those things out of you so that you can clear space, mental space, for something else, something more positive, something that's going to actually help you on your journey versus distract you.
Yeah, I really appreciate how you spoke to allowing emotions to take up space. And we can still do that in a way that's effective and safe and in control for us where it doesn't become overwhelming.
Yeah.
Something we always throw out there is setting a timer for those emotions, is saying, okay, I'm going to let myself feel it for X amount of time, and then I'm going to move on to the things that are going to help me grow and learn and develop. And I'm wondering, how do you celebrate those moments when you've come from a struggle or a place where your opinions weren't validated, or you might not have gotten that promotion? How do you now accept and celebrate some of those big wins that are happening, and the small ones too?
That's a good point. So as entrepreneurs, it's very hard to celebrate anything because
Yep.
if you're not successful, if you're not at that point of where I've met my goals, it's very hard to celebrate, right? So you have to have your own special way of doing that, whether it's having a glass of wine at night or I'm going to take a break because I have the ability to do that. I'm able to make my own schedule. So I'm going to take a break and I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to do whatever it is that brings me joy, that I'm allowing myself to give back to myself in that way. For those of you that are on the call and maybe you don't own your own business, but you're in a place where you want to continue your personal development, maybe you've just had a win in your career. It's time for you to actually celebrate that. Maybe right now it's COVID as we speak. It's not going out and having a nice dinner, but maybe it's actually getting a steak and cooking it at home. Like, figure out ways to celebrate yourself and tell someone that you really care about. I think I work with people on vision a lot, and we talk a lot about how to get to that next level of where you want to be in 3, 5, or 10 years. And so having those conversations with someone that's on that journey with you, then they can celebrate with you. So some of us don't want to talk about ourselves. We don't want to brag. And it's really a humble brag, right? Because you've done something that you're proud of and you want someone to celebrate and share in that. I don't want you to feel bad about that. I want you to feel good about that because you're furthering yourself. And if you don't share, then you're actually depriving them of knowing something special that you're celebrating in yourself. So be open to that.
Yeah, I think that joy and the ability to share joy now gives them an opportunity to share with you. Whereas before, others may not have had that case where they might have also felt that shame and that stigma of sharing. Sometimes it takes a lot of bravery and endurance to take the first step. And I'm wondering what you would say for folks who are feeling fear to leave their fixed mindset, and maybe even explain what the difference is between the fixed mindset and the growth mindset for others who are listening.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really good point. So when I think about a fixed mindset, I've been there, okay? Fixed mindset is really, let's start from the beginning. We are all raised by our parents or by people that took care of us when we were young. And so they created beliefs in us when we were very young. So we grew up with these beliefs, and we may still have those present beliefs to this day. And so sometimes those beliefs don't work in our favor. Sometimes those beliefs are made up by our parents, or it's what they were taught to believe. And so we then believe them. But you have an opportunity to rewrite that mindset. And so like I was saying about before, sometimes we say to ourselves, well, I came from a very poor family. I don't have the opportunity to do what you have, I can't do what you do because I don't have the money, or I don't have the resources. I don't have the knowledge. But you're creating a fixed mindset in that you're not allowing yourself to open yourself up to be vulnerable to those opportunities. And so when I think about having a growth mindset, it's being open, it's being vulnerable to learning new things, right?
Yep.
To rewarding progress over completion. That doesn't make you successful just because you haven't completed that goal. You're actually on that path, that journey. That's to be celebrated right now.
Yeah.
It's looking at failure as an opportunity to learn and thrive, right? So for me, failure, if I don't fail a lot, then how am I supposed to be successful? Because I haven't learned anything. I need to learn. And in order to learn, you have to fail. And you have to be open to that. And sometimes that costs money. And sometimes that really sucks. But like, you have to be open to it. And so we're mostly born with fixed mindsets, right? Because we're taught these beliefs and they're inherent in us and they're ingrained in us. And so we inherently get defensive when someone says something to us that maybe it goes against our beliefs. And we have an insecurity when we're faced with those challenges or constructive criticism. And so the key is to know what triggers us and then rewriting our responses and saying, is that really true? Like, have the openness to ask yourself, is that really true? Or can I rewrite that? So if I feel, for example, if I feel threatened or insecure, so in my career, right, people would say things that I didn't necessarily agree with, yep. Or I'd be in a space where when I wasn't promoted, it's looking at what can I control and taking the high road for yourself in your future, right? It's better on the high road anyway. It's a better view.
Yeah. I think that's so relevant in terms of core beliefs and letting people know that it's still malleable, that your brains still have the ability to change. And I think that's one stigma that we get stuck on, is that it's harder to learn as we get older. What would you say to folks who are sitting here thinking that and believing that learning isn't possible once we reach a certain age?
I think that everyone's able to learn as they grow and get older. Like your brain, you have to think of it from a scientific perspective. You have all these different neurons that are consistently learning. Now, it may not be as easy the older you get, just like learning a language, right? You want to learn a language, it's a lot easier to do that when you're young because you're growing at such a rapid rate. But I would say to those folks, your brain is always learning repetitive behaviors on an ongoing basis. So whether you know it or not, your brain is able to understand, learn, and maintain those behaviors or change those behaviors. So we're consistently changing and evolving as humans. And so you have the opportunity in front of you. It's whether or not you choose to embrace it. That's your choice. And you're the one that's closing yourself off or being open to it.
Exactly. We absolutely agree. I think that's one of the reasons why in peer support, all of that is about making those changes that are effective and supportive and letting folks know that there is an opportunity to change. And on that note, for folks who are looking to work with you or wanting to know more about growth mindset, where can they find you if they're looking to challenge these things that they think are impossible?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me at Reinvent Your Hustle. I'm on Facebook. I am also, I'm on Instagram actually a lot. I love that. That's my main channel. So you can find me on Instagram. Otherwise, you can go to reinventyourhustle.com. For those individuals that are entrepreneurs that maybe want to explore some different avenues, they need more clarity. They're looking for clarity in their vision, growth mindset, and where they want to take their business. I have a lot of free opportunities on my site, as well as you can find those on Instagram. So head on over at Reinvent Your Hustle or reinventyourhustle.com.
Amazing. If you're watching this now on Facebook Live, we'll be putting it in the comments. And if you're watching later on YouTube, we'll be putting it in the description for you to watch. Don't forget to keep following us. We are posting interviews every Saturday and Tuesdays and on Thursdays on Facebook Live. So please don't hesitate to join in some of those conversations or watch later when you have a little bit more time. Thank you so much, Kristine, for coming today and speaking about growth mindset. I think it's going to be such a helpful tool for so many folks.
Happy to be here. Thank you so much, Alicia. You guys have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.